Put up your pants, my man.
Touchdown!
Is this the dagger?
Fernando Tatis Jr., a grand slam!
Iguodala. It's funny to hear a female talk about routes. Like,
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
Welcome to From the Backseat, hosted by Clark and Ethan.
it's funny.
Good evening, folks. It is Tuesday, January 17th, and you are tuning into From the Backseat. I'm Clark Farrenthal, joined by my co-host, as always, Ethan Haas. Introduce yourself there, bud.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
You know, a great weekend of playoff football for some people in this podcast. A very tough, bitter, tear-filled, perhaps, Saturday, Sunday for others. We're going to go ahead and jump right into that thing first. As everyone knows, Ethan is a diehard Chargers fan. And as some people may or may not know, Ethan made the long trek out to Duval County to watch the Chargers blow and possibly add to one of the most historic downfalls in playoff history when they fell to the Jacksonville Jaguars by the score of 31-30. So, Ethan, I have to know right off the bat, give it to me straight. How did that feel? What was it like being in the stands that night?
Well, so I had a lot of mixed opinions. So obviously, I'd never been to Jacksonville before. There wasn't a lot to do there. I mean, I went to this great barbecue place with a bunch of Jacksonville fans.
That's a plus.
That was a lot of fun. A lot of people just asked me about being a Chargers fan, that kind of thing. This is super nice. I'm not hating on any Jacksonville fans, even at the stadium. Super nice. We watched the 49ers game in this bar outside of the stadium. Then we walked on over at halftime. So getting into the stadium, super cold. No one told me it was going to be cold. It was 40 degrees.
It was January. Then it's January. It gets cold in the South, man.
Florida?
I live in Jacksonville. Come on now. You got to be expecting that. What are you wearing, shorts and a T-shirt?
No, I mean, I had plenty of layers on, but
no.
I had never gone to a football game where it was that cold. So to all those people in Green Bay or Buffalo who just sit out there during games in the snow, shout out. I don't know how you do that. I was freezing.
They do it by just drinking so much you can't even feel the cold.
Well, and then they put the lighter fluid on the table and then light it on fire.
Then you just slide across a well-lit fire table and you're good to go.
So speaking of that, when we were walking from the bar to the stadium, so we were going through the Jacksonville tailgate. I don't understand how the police let this happen. People were doing like full-on bonfires in just like the middle of the road.
It's Florida, man. Anything goes. It's Duval. Duval County playoff time. They don't get to experience that often. I think the police were like, you know what? Just let it happen.
No, so I was talking to a Jacksonville fan. That was the first time that they've had. Well, they had one home playoff game before.
With the Blake Bortles, the GOAT.
Yeah, but this was the first time they had it in prime time where the country was. So they were buzzing. But game starts, obviously, really hot start. Great start. And shout out to the biggest unsung hero that no one is talking about now, Asante Samuel Jr. I mean, I'm sorry.
He would have been a hero. If they had won, he would have been the hero.
Well, what I'm saying is like, that is an all-time playoff performance that is just squandered. I think if the Chargers had won that game, people would be talking about Asante Samuel like one of the best defensive back games.
I mean, that would have been unquestioned. I mean, that beat anything his dad, who was a great defensive back in the NFL for years, ever did in the playoffs. I mean, that should have been like, I think if they had won that game too, people would be like, oh man, Asante Samuel Jr., he's like, wow, top 10 corner going into the next year. What a game. Instead, no one cared now. But
no one cares.
Great game from Asante Samuel. 3 interceptions. That was crazy.
I mean, the best was his second one where he read on the outbreaking out route and just jumped it. Man, that was such good vision in zone coverage. But so game starts. Chargers get off to an incredibly hot start. And me and my dad were there. And we're getting excited, but we're also trying to kind of manage how we are, because we were in a section of all Jacksonville season ticket holders. So like, these are hardcore Jacksonville fans.
Like, would die for Trevor Lawrence.
Pretty much. I mean, like the people before the game warned us that they were like, yeah, like we're incredibly loud when anything happens. Like, we're going to be over the top about it. Like the Duval chants. And then they told us about their first down chant, which was like, I still don't even remember what it is. It was just basically like, first down, move the chains. And then they said move the chains like 4 times or something. I didn't get it, but
That's
They did it.
terrible. That's really stupid. But okay, good for
Well,
them.
and it was weird. Is it wasn't one of the things that they like do over the intercom. It was just like
they just did it
fans would
themselves.
randomly do it, and it was just like first down, move the chains, move the chains, move the chains, move the chains, and then that was
That's
just it.
disgusting. That should be banned. That should not be. What are we doing? I mean, good for them for having fun, but that's terrible. That's one of the worst.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but
move those chains 4 times consecutively. Just not good.
well, so what was really tough about the first half is obviously Chargers up big. Was Jacksonville fans were getting really mad at the refs.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure.
Incredibly mad. They thought everything was pass interference. They thought everything was illegal contact. And the one they thought was most egregious was the Asante Samuel deep play on Zay Jones, where
No, that was on Marvin Jones.
Oh, it was on Marvin Jones.
Yeah.
Where he was trying to turn. Asante was kind of had his arm out and he was turning his head to make a play on the ball, and Zay Jones was trying to basically get underthrown pass interference. And Asante didn't let him make the play. Jacksonville was very mad that was not called pass interference.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were.
Which I agreed with the call. I hate underthrown pass interference, and I'm glad.
No, it was a right call on the field. It's just I'm sure Jaguar fans were at that point just filling their diaper because they were so scared of what was happening.
The other one, Jacksonville fans were so mad at the refs.
The Asante interception where it was illegal contact, but it didn't get called.
I mean, to an extent, because it was 4th down, I don't feel like people were as mad. I mean, I thought that was clear and cut. I thought it probably should have been illegal contact. But the other thing that rewatching it, Zay Jones broke on that ball absolutely horribly. I mean, he kind of just stood there and then just didn't do anything. And Asante just made a good. I mean, I think it was illegal contact, but I understood why the refs didn't call it. But the one they got really mad at was, I think it was in the 3rd or 4th quarter, where Justin Herbert got a roughing the passer call, where basically the Jacksonville like pushed him over really late.
Yeah.
And they were calling it like, oh, that's the ultimate flop job. Like,
no.
Justin Herbert, what an idiot. Like, oh, the refs are just wanting to give the Chargers the game and stuff. And my dad and I, this is the first time we like actually got into it, and we're like, no, that's like absolutely clear cut roughing the passer. It was so late.
Yeah, I mean, definitely watching that on TV, it was not a question of like, oh, accidental contact. It was just, he just basically had him still locked in his shoulder pads and just proceeded to throw him down, even though the whistle had clearly blown. I mean, that was a lot of the roughing the passers I've seen this year have been terrible, but that one was more than warranted.
Yeah. But yeah, so they get up 27. We're obviously feeling good, but we have this Chargers fan next to us who is just way not, obviously had not been a Chargers fan for very long, because my dad and I were sitting there nervous. We knew 27 wasn't enough, but we knew one more touchdown put that game away. If they had gotten up and over 30 in the first half, or even some point in the second half, that game was over. If they had hit Keenan on that wide open touchdown in the second quarter, game was over. The overthrow. Game was over. We knew it wasn't. We're like 27. It's really hard to do, but it still can happen. So you're sitting there nervous, and then this Chargers fan next to us just starts yelling again at all these Jacksonville fans, Duval.
Can't do it.
So Chargers start losing, obviously, and everyone starts to chirp at him, and he could not take the heat. So like he gets up to go to the bathroom, like when the Chargers, it was right after the second Joey Bosa spiked helmet where it's 2. He like gets up to go to the bathroom, and some guy confronts him and is like basically like, I'm gonna beat you up, like I'm gonna punch you.
Beat the shit out of you if you say anything else.
Pretty much, like if you say it to my face, like if you say it one more time, like I will come after you. In the whole
if that would have happened,
like, get him.
I wish he would have. Oh, that would have been cinematic if he would have been just said it right to his face. I mean, he would have been cracked jaw if he had done it, but that would have been so funny because they were losing it. They were starting. I mean, it was slipping away.
Yeah. So this is where that guy. If you ever find this, I don't remember your name. You're just a punk and a loser, honestly. So like he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't say it. And so, like, he backed off. And then under his breath, he walks back to us and goes, Duval.
Oh, no. Under the breath? Oh, God.
Under the breath. So
no.
Then Chargers obviously give the ball back, punt it back to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's driving down the field. He leaves early. He wasn't going to deal with it.
That's actually so bad. Oh.
He left early. just
Left
laughed.
because he knew it was over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so he
more
just
like, oh, if I
laughed.
stay here, I'm just gonna get my ass beat on the way out. Someone's
Yeah.
gonna grab me, like, beat the shit out of this guy.
Yeah, because during that final drive, they were like telling him, they're like, we're gonna come and get you.
Yeah, we're gonna. God, that's brutal. Maybe I would have let if they would been like, I'm gonna openly assault you here, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Then maybe at that point, I'd be like, okay, should I leave early? Yeah, maybe I would. If I had 70 upwards of people in the same section saying, hey, buddy, we're just gonna we're gonna openly assault you. We're gonna commit a felony right here, and we don't care, and we're not gonna say anything to anyone. Maybe I'd leave early.
No, it was bad. It was really bad. But I have a lot of thoughts on the game, and I'm gonna sum it up one way. So leaving the game, Clark knows I was basically yelling from the ceiling, fire Staley.
Yeah,
I wanted Staley gone. I was so mad. But as the days have gone on, I actually think
a revelation, perhaps.
I think keeping him is the right move.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because I decided something about his second half defense. Leaving the game, I thought it was dumb. It was prevent. It wasn't anything. It was a waste of time. He was just basically letting Jacksonville move down the field. The more I thought about it, the more I realized it was actually the right way to play defense. Obviously, you want to be aggressive. You want to keep it up. But had the Chargers scored any more points, that game was cut and dry over. So even though Staley was conceding points, he was banking on the offense to score something, which I don't think when you have Justin Herbert is the wrong bet. He basically played defense in a way of, for them to come back on us, we basically have to do nothing and they have to be perfect, which is what happened. But his offense ultimately let him down. Again, they barely made it up to the 31. And really, they should have just tied the game because of Joey Bosa spiked his helmet twice.
Yes.
So the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what? Like, maybe this really isn't Staley. I'm not gonna not give him any, like, obviously.
I'm surprised this is your take on this, actually. I'm surprised.
The more I thought about it, the more I'm like, honestly, as much as I would have liked him to be aggressive and keep playing the way they were playing, Michael Davis was out the entire second half, which is their best press man corner. And you had to have a backup go in who's really a nickel playing outside. That's a tough matchup as it is. Derwin James was just spearing whatever player came near him and was kind of irrelevant in the game. The pass rush wasn't really getting home in the second half, and they were having success with the blitz in the first half. And you really can't keep blitzing in the second half when you're up by so much because you can't give up the long ball because you have to take time off the clock. So the more that I thought about it, the more I realized I think Staley was doing the right thing. Now, the issue is Joe Lombardi. Oh, my God. Do you know how many rushing yards they had from the point that they were up 27-0?
I bet it was less than 20.
It was -3.
I can believe it. That was like, so I'll say this. I'll interject quickly. That was one of my concerns is that the Charger, like, I really like Austin Eckler. I think he's a really good back. However, I don't think he's a guy who you sit there and say, that's our finisher. That's the guy who we're going to hand the ball off to 15, 20 times and a half, and he's going to end it. He's not that guy. And I think that's what sort of worried me too when I was like, okay, they're not running it. They're down DeAndre Carter. They're down Mike Williams. All they have is Keenan Allen. Parham can't get open. They can't create separation passing the football. That's when I was like, oh no.
It was just a recipe for disaster. And then Salyer went out and oh my God. And this is the other thing that I haven't even talked about Lombardi. So Salyer went out in the first half. So they had to bring in their backup left tackle. Yep. Do you know how many times? So they had 8 rush attempts, I'm going to tell you, from 27-0. Do you know how many times they ran behind their first round pick, Zion Johnson, and then one of the best run blockers, tackle it, Trey Pipkins, from that point on?
Like probably twice, maybe once.
0. They ran every single one to the left.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Lombardi's fired for a reason now, right? He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. The boogeyman is gone. But I think what I'm trying to say is I understand why you bring back Staley. I think Staley. I mean, I could see it either way, but the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, he did a lot of good things. His defense turned it around. Again, they had 5 turnovers in the first half. I'm not gonna really.
You should win those games typically. 5
You
turnovers.
should win. You should win those games. I mean, again, they had 3 of the turnovers in the 20, and they only scored a touchdown on 1 of them. That all comes down to offense. I mean, Staley, again, his defense let up all those points. But the other thing I keep going back to is the Chargers had so many turnovers that Jacksonville had so many looks at their defense. Even though they weren't on the field, like time of possession wise, they weren't on. They had so many looks at that defense because there were so many possessions in the first half. So I keep going back to ultimately this fell on the offense. And I'd love to be like, let's get rid of Staley. Let's go get Sean Payton or whatever. Sean Payton was never coming to the Chargers, so stop being delusional. I wanted Harbaugh, but I don't think Harbaugh would have worked.
Well, he's going anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. So I'm happy to give it another year with Staley. I think Staley's done a lot of good things with the Chargers. Again, he has a positive winning percentage. He's won some big games, but this one hurts. So
yeah. Well, here I'll keep my perspective on things from the other side pretty short. So first off, I would like to issue a formal apology to Charger fans out there. I texted Ethan and Cole probably 3 or 4 times saying, well, this game's over. You know, Kansas City and the Chargers should be fun for a third time. When they're up 27-0, thinking that there was no conceivable way, even though this is the Chargers, which I for most of my life watched. So apologies there, kind of jinxed it, but I feel like everyone was thinking the same thing because how could you do it? Anyway, I think it's a shame for the Chargers, the biggest thing, no matter what, because they wasted another year of Justin Herbert on his rookie contract. You've essentially the last 2 years, those are your prime years to really sit there and be like, hey, that Super Bowl window is probably bigger than it may ever be. And they got bounced in week 18, and then they just lost in this fashion. Really, really tough. And I think one thing I still take away from this too is that I don't know, and I don't know if the Chargers can win anything with Dean Spanos as the owner. I don't think they can. I don't know if they can.
So I'm ready to interject. Yes. So that was my point. And so I said this after the game. I'm like, everyone wants to point at Brandon Staley. It's all Brandon Staley's fault. But this is an organizational issue. They have gone through so many coaches where they do this exact same thing over and over again.
It is.
They've had Norv Turner do it. They've had Marty Schottenheimer do it. They've had Mike McCoy do it. They've had Anthony Lynn do it. Now they've had Brandon Staley. The only person in common is Dean Spanos among Tom Telesco. Well, Tom Telesco wasn't there for Marty Schottenheimer, but I mean, all these dudes in the front office, that's the root of this cause. And if Dean Spanos keeps owning the team, it's going to be similar results because they're an unserious franchise. I've decided they're just an unserious franchise.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dean Spanos, in my mind, in terms of football, and I say this, respectfully, I think is a domestic terrorist. He is completely gone off the rails in terms of what he has done to every single Chargers fan. I mean, seriously, I say again, take this with a grain of salt. But if I was a real diehard Chargers fan and I watched 27-0 last night, I would have checked into therapy the next day because there's no way I think I could have mentally handled that. That would have fried my brain, dude. I mean, as a Bengals fan, I have watched some horrific crap. 27-0 would have required therapy and perhaps medication at that point. I mean, unbelievable.
Well, the thing is everyone wants to assign that there's one person responsible. And to blow a 27-point lead.
No, to blow 27
everyone's responsible.
Multiple people. There has to be multiple culprits to what happened, I feel like.
Well, because just so many people could have made a play, and a play was never made.
No, I mean
the only person you cannot blame in the entire game is Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone else deserves blame in some way. Asante is the only one who gets off scot-free because he got 3 turnovers on his own.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Chargers to me, and I feel bad saying this because I am sort of like, because of you and Cole, the connection to it, I do harbor some sort of feeling for them. But just when I watch them, it's just like, man, I thought they would shake this idea of like, oh, it's the Chargers because they have Justin Herbert now. But it was the same shit that it was with Rivers. I
It's the
mean, it was the
same.
same shit that it was with Drew Brees. It just felt I was like, I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't.
So
I was sitting there telling myself, there's no way this is happening. This is completely inconceivable. And yet again, it happened somehow.
The other thing is people keep trying to downplay Justin Herbert by saying he's Philip Rivers again. And I get how that feels like an insult, but I'm like, then you're just calling him a I get Philip Rivers didn't win, but Philip Rivers is a fringe Hall of Fame player who's going to go down as one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time. If you really want to downplay Justin Herbert by saying he's Philip Rivers, well, then congratulations to the Chargers because they're about to have another fringe Hall of Fame player that all these other teams in the AFC, whether they want to talk about it or not, are going to have to deal with him week to week.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, having Herbert's great. I just think it's the sting of this idea of that, man, it might be great and it might look perfect at times, but it feels like with the Chargers still, even after, and I even reassured after that game, it just still feels like you're waiting for that other shoe to drop. It's just you, even you admitted to it. Like you're at that game, you're up 27-0 and you're still just kind of waiting, like something's got to go wrong. And that would have been their opportunity to shake it. Like if they had won that game, I think the Chargers franchise, Herbert, anyone associated with it right then and there could have shaken this idea of like, hey, this is still the same old. They could have done away with it. But now it's going to linger again. And it's only going to go away with them getting to a Super Bowl or, winning an AFC championship for that to be dusted. And it's going to have to wait another year at this point.
That's just how it goes. It's sad. It sucks. The other thing is, I want to give one thought, and that's to Broncos and Raiders fans who feel like they should be clowning on Chargers fans. Take a look in the mirror. If you really want to be like, oh, they blew 27 points, that's so funny. You guys both called yourselves Super Bowl contenders and wildly underperformed and didn't even make the playoffs. So talk all the smack you want, but you guys are even more embarrassing than the Chargers, especially the Broncos. Broncos fans, honestly, and Raiders fans, you guys are straight up getting rid of Derek Carr, who you tried to sell me as a franchise quarterback last year and that he was your savior.
Well, he is, man. Show some respect.
Yeah, he's about to be the savior in in New York.
Save Indianapolis, man. He's going to save them. Swear to God.
Indianapolis is trading for the first pick. No way Probably. They don't.
Or they trade for Derek Carr because Jim Irsay's cooked.
Yeah, I mean, so that's just my thing. I see so many Raiders fans trying to clown on the Chargers right now, and I'm just like, look in the mirror. What are you guys talking about? Like, I get it's funny to make fun of us, but
just the way she goes, man. I mean, I don't know. It's tough billing right now. I don't know. A real quick, can you hear the blowing right now? Is that coming?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, well, that's the heating in my house going off, so I apologize. I will try to get that down.
Also, Drew Code, I know you guys are watching. That wasn't a shot at you. I actually know you responded saying pretty much the same thing I just said. So that's no shot. In Leland, couldn't be my team. Yeah, congratulations to Seattle making the playoffs. That was pretty big. Sorry you guys lost to Brock Purdy, but you guys gave up a good fight in the first half.
Yeah, we lost to the greatest quarterback in NFL history, so.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy.
So let's move on to, let's switch gears from my team to Clark's team, and let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. So Cincinnati goes into Baltimore. No, or I guess they stay, and they end up winning 24-17. Basically, a lot closer than I think it was. I mean, they were like 2 inches away from tying.
I mean, it would have been much. That was a 14-point swing. I mean, look, I'll keep it pretty.
Oh, I'm talking about the Hail Mary that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that had been caught, I would have been in the woods for the next week.
Well, because they would have went for 2 there.
They were definitely going for 2. That was my whole thing. I was like, don't let them get in the end zone because they're going to go for 2. I knew the whole time they were going to go for 2.
They were going to go for 2.
Fortunately, we avoided all of that. Look, I thought really going into that game, Like the spread was almost 9 points. I thought that was crazy because I think the reality is that Baltimore's defense, that is the team we have struggled with the most all season. Seeing them a third time, I was not looking forward to it. And for a lot of the game, Baltimore, like the game was played the way Baltimore wanted it to. It was a game of which they ran the ball, controlled, had 17 play drives, kept Burrow and the offense off of the field, which is what they wanted to do. Fortunately, the defense stepped up again. They continued to generate turnovers in the playoff. That knockout at the 2-yard line off Tyler Huntley is probably the second biggest defensive play in franchise history. I would still, unless they go to the Super Bowl this year, I would still put Jermaine Pratt's interception last year just because of the moment against the Raiders where it ends the 31-year drought and everyone's like, oh my God, we're not total shams anymore. I think that would be only behind it right then. But I mean, definitely some concerns. The offensive line, I mean, Jesus Christ, everyone just died basically on the right side of the line. I mean, we're starting Jackson Carman, who I hate, not only because I don't think he's very good, but because of his past and this alleged other stuff that I don't even want to get into because it's so disgusting. Max Sharping did okay, but then the fact that you don't have, Lyle Collins out there and you're just starting a Adeniji who does okay. The fortunate part is, though, for this next game in Buffalo is that Buffalo doesn't have a good pass rush. They don't have a very good one. The defenses looked lackluster. I'm still very confident in Cincinnati. I think if both teams play to their max capacity, I still think the Bengals are better because of the defense. We'll see how things go. But, man, that was a crazy game against Baltimore. But, again, anytime the Bengals play anyone in the AFC North, it's basically just like a miniature fight in a Waffle House at 2 a.m., and we just happen to be the person that catches the throne chair and we have it to beat someone. And that's just the way it went. I mean, Marcus Peters just punching Joe Mixon in the stomach twice. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, people always like make the joke like, oh, like, the AFC North is just like the craziest division in all football because of it. But it is like no O&L, no other division has the more absurd stuff happen in the AFC North. So much bad blood. So to come out there with a win, no matter what way we got it, I was happy with it. Obviously, I would have liked to smoke them, sure, but that wasn't the expectation of it. So we're on to Buffalo. Feel good about it still, even with the offensive line issues. I think it's a game we definitely should be able to win, but we'll just see come game time.
Yeah, I mean, of matchups of who's left in the AFC West, I actually feel like this is going to sound controversial, but for the Bengals, I actually feel like the Bills are probably the best matchup because they have the worst pass rush right now.
Yeah, I think the Bengals probably do match up. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. I think you could get a shootout. I think you could get a very similar game to which Buffalo and Kansas City were last year, where it's just like who has ball last wins it. But we'll have to see. I mean, both teams, I know people have said like didn't play well, but I was like, again, both teams in the first round were going up against divisional opponents for the third time. Like, I know it's backup quarterbacks, but they know each other really well at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing I want to make this point about the Bills, and as a Chargers fan, I'm like kind of jealous of their offense, but the more I think about it, I'm not. The Bills' offense is just the opposite of the Chargers' offense. The Chargers' offense, all they do is throw it short and have no air yards. All the Bills do is just run 4 verticals like every single play.
Yeah, but it's fun because it works sometimes. It looks pretty sweet.
It is, but then half the other time they just go 3 and out because they threw 3 balls like halfway down the field and then it just does nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think with another thing I think like the Bengals could have the advantage with in that game is Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen, but he is giving the ball away like it's free right now in terms of turnovers. I know he fumbled twice and he threw 2 interceptions. I don't think you beat Cincinnati if you turn the ball over 4 times.
I will say, and maybe you'll disagree, but I have a tough time seeing the Bengals beat the Chiefs if they get to the AFC Championship with the state of their offensive line right now.
They did it last year. They can do it again.
But their offensive line right now is worse than it was last year.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's better than it was last year. I mean,
even with all these backups?
Yes, I would still. Yes, even like marginally, but better. Yes.
Well, the other thing is, I think the Chiefs would expose their corners at some point. I mean, without Awuzie,
they didn't have.
I'm not going to say they're weak.
They didn't have Awuzie in the first game they played in.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But their offense, I don't know. I just feel like that's a really tough matchup.
It's going to be like, I don't doubt it'll be tough regardless. Like, I mean, obviously we have to beat Buffalo, We'll see where it goes from there. But I don't like the Bengals at this point, like I'm done doubting them. If they beat anyone, I'm not going to be surprised. I think they have the capability of doing it. I do think Kansas City would be a tougher matchup. However, I think they're better pass rushers or interior linemen like Chris Jones and Ted Karras has played great. They might get Alex Kappa back. I don't know. But I would be more like Jackson Carman's terrible. He's so bad. And then Adeniji, he's good with like speed, but if you bull rush him, he's just toast. And that's unfortunate. So I don't know how it'll play out. They just have to beat Buffalo first. That's the main focus. And then
they have to beat Buffalo.
And Kansas City has to beat Saturday Trevor Lawrence. Let's not forget that. Saturday Trevor Lawrence, who's 163-0 at Saturdays. That's almost unfair for them to like NFL to be able to look. Trevor Lawrence, you're playing on Saturday.
Wait, I haven't said this point yet. And it's something I've wanted to say for a while. Okay. I know Trevor Lawrence came back against the Chargers.
You got the slander.
People are acting like he's like now the best protege in the league because of his comeback. He threw 4 picks in the first half.
Yeah, okay, but here, like I mean, I think Trevor Lawrence at this point, this will maybe be my hot take for the day. I think he's top 5.
What's your top 5 then?
My top 5 as a good, maybe top 5 in the AFC. I should rephrase top 5 in the AFC.
Oh, I agree. He's top 5 in the AFC. I don't agree. Top 5 in the league.
He's very close to top 5 in the league.
Well, what's your top 5? Let's hear it.
Mahomes.
Okay.
Allen.
Yep.
Burrow.
Okay.
Herbert.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence.
You're putting him above Jalen Hurts right now?
Yes.
Really?
That's bold. Now wait.
That is really bold. I wouldn't put him above Jalen.
It's so tough. I mean, because I love Jalen Hurts and I love his game. But
There's no way I'm putting him above.
But I'm like, this is unfair to do. However, if you put Trevor Lawrence in that Eagles offense with those weapons, I'm just saying.
I mean, he has good weapons in Jacksonville.
He has good, but he doesn't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Miles Sanders.
Yeah, but
Marvin Jones.
I don't know.
Jones,
it's hard for me. It's hard for me to sit there and try to play like a skill position thing.
I know. I guess
you just go down a rabbit hole of because then you talk about like Joe Burrow has benefits from all these, and I don't like going down that rabbit hole because I just want to.
Sometimes rabbit holes are fun to explore, but whatever. Fine. I probably would put Jalen Hurts up at 5, but Trevor Lawrence is making a very close race at this point. I would listen.
Where's Danny Dimes? Let's talk about Danny Dimes. Where's Danny Dimes?
One more. Before we move on from Jacksonville, I want to say this. It's the Kansas City fans that think this will just be going to be a rollover. If Kansas City lets the Jaguars stick around in that first half, do not be surprised if the Jaguars win that game.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City is one that I don't understand how they're always so good, but it's hard for me.
I don't either. But here's the thing.
I never get it, but I always feel every year I'm like, oh, they're so beatable. They're so beatable. And then they always end up. So
I don't know. I just have like Jacksonville has this weird feeling. Maybe it's the overconfidence I have in them just off of one game and how they finished. But if Kansas City lets them stick around, I think that game right now, the spread's at like 10 points. I would slam Jaguars plus 10. I think they're going to keep it close with that.
So you know who I think the X factor is for Jacksonville if they actually have a chance in this game? It's one matchup.
One matchup. Well, that's tough. I don't know.
It's Josh Allen versus Orlando Brown.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be my guess.
That was my guess. So if Josh Allen can eat his lunch off Orlando Brown, which I assume he will because Orlando Brown is not very good and is very bad against speed rushers, it's going to be a long day for Kansas City.
Yeah. I mean, look, 10 points to me for the Jaguars. I know they already played once this season, but look, the Jags are frisky, real frisky right now. Probably the friskiest of any frisky team there ever has been frisking. But don't doubt him. I'm not writing him off at Arrowhead.
Hey, Leland. Leland's asking, is it possible we review preseason hot takes? Which hot take do you want us to review?
I mean, we can do, we can review them on another episode. Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, I think Leland wants his victory lap on the Seahawks, perhaps. Who knows?
Did he call him a play? I mean,
I don't know if he called, but I mean, we called him better than we did. I certainly know that.
He said, one that he should take a victory lap on is he said the Packers were going to have a losing record.
I mean, they did, yes.
They did. My biggest victory lap, I still swear to God, is the Giants being a playoff team. I mean, I did not expect Daniel Jones to be this good, but
Yeah, well, I mean, speaking of Daniel, we'll go to Daniel Jones and the Giants.
my new favorite thing is I love the nickname Vanilla Vic. I think that's so
okay,
funny.
just because you brought the ball, Vanilla Vic, I mean, that is pretty funny. However, disrespectful to Michael Vick.
It's
but-
so funny though.
Well, I mean, it is funny. Yeah, it is funny. It's a funny nickname, Vanilla Vic. That is a good one, but oh man, I don't know. The Giants, look, that's another. I think that game with them and the Eagles, that's a lot more intriguing than people want to give it credit for right now.
It's a division game, third time. Brian Daboll has been coaching.
I know Brian and Daniel Jones. I mean, I know everyone's like, oh well, it's not the Vikings defense this time. Well, I feel like the Giants are getting the treatment of like everyone's making the excuse as to why this is like still implausible. Like the Vikings are frauds. I mean, yes, they were frauds. Everyone knows that. Smoke.
They were frauds.
But I mean, it still counts. They won on the road and won that game. It's not like it was easy.
No, I'm not. But I mean, we both.
Yes, were they fraudulent? Were they more, were they getting an IRS audit because they're so fraudulent? Yeah, sure, probably, but whatever. I mean, still give Daniel Jones his credit, and the Giants deserve a ton. Maybe it's just me being stupid, but I think this game's gonna be a lot closer than people want to give it credit for.
Yeah, I think it'll be closer. I do not think the Giants will be able to beat the Eagles, but I think it'll be close.
It'll be closer than people think. I think it's gonna be it'll be a 10-point game probably, but I think it's a game that I don't know. I mean,
the other thing is the Eagles are coming off bye.
Yeah, the Eagles are gonna win that game.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point. To tell you the truth, I don't really know if I see any upsets. I mean,
no, I people that are trying to upset the next game. I think San Francisco is going to maul Dallas. I think it's going to get very ugly.
Yeah, you know what? That actually leads to let's do our next segment. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna draft the remaining teams on whether they can win the Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
So
I love it. Die for it.
So I could probably guess where you're going to go with your first pick, but I'll let you have the first pick of the last remaining 8 teams. So we'll do 4 rounds. And I can guess where you're going to go.
Oh, well, it's been written on the wall for quite some time. Not my wall. It's a proverbial wall that's been put up. It's a fake wall, abstract, fourth wall. Who knows? Anyway.
Can I announce it for you?
What?
Can I announce it for you?
No, you can't. I'm going to announce myself. No, I'm going to
I want to be the celebrity guy who comes out with the...
I have been on this team. I have been on this guy. Pause. I have been on this guy, Brock Purdy, in the San Francisco 49ers for so long. This team is going to represent the NFC, and everyone wants to doubt. They doubted Clark's wisdom. Oh my God, he thinks Brock Purdy's actually going to be good. Well, guess what, folks? We are literally 2 games away from Brock Purdy representing the NFC and arguably the best team in football in the Super Bowl. Which in that game, I give him a very good shot to go ahead and win that thing. So, yeah, San Francisco first overall. The defense looks shaky, sure, but when you have the baby goat and Brock Purdy manning the ship for you, along with Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle, you got freaking McCaffrey playing like no one's business, along with Elijah Mitchell now back. Good luck to everyone else.
Okay, I was also going to take them as the first pick if that makes you feel any better. I mean, they look
a little bit better, actually. Thank you.
They look really good.
They look unreal.
The other thing is, I mean,
the Shanahan offense could become illegal after this season. It's so goddamn easy. I don't know.
Good.
It's so good.
Well, and I don't want to discredit Brock Purdy here, and this is what it's going to sound like.
Better not.
It makes the Shanahan offense is so good because it makes quarterbacking so easy. Like when you watch the Lombardi offense, everything falls on Herbert. When you watch the Shanahan offense, there are so many moving pieces that it just makes it so easy. The reads are easy. The yak opportunities are easy. They use all levels of the field. Their spacing is incredible. The Shanahan offense is just so good.
Yeah, I just don't see right now, realistically, I really don't know who would beat San Francisco right now. Especially I know people are like, oh, well, Brock got a ton of yak and stuff like that. He still played great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of mixed bag. No, what I'm going to say is I'm not going to say he played bad. I'm just kind of mixed bag on. It is really tough to evaluate him when Deebo Samuel just takes it to the house from 70 yards out. And
yeah, well, that's what you do when the GOAT throws you the football. You do your job. Okay, you take care of business.
I mean, that
And
offense
Jesus
is just
Christ
so
hands you the
loaded.
football, you take it to the end zone. That's basically what Debo got right there.
Yo, yeah, you're right. He took it from a 5-yard out route.
Yeah.
All right. So with my first pick, I'm gonna take the AFC. I'm gonna go over to Kansas City. It's hard for me. I never understand why they're so good. I never understand how they happen to be there. But Patrick Mahomes is on a whole nother level than I think any other player in the league right now. Patrick Mahomes is wheeling and dealing. He's locked in. He's ready to go. Andy Reid, we talk about the Shanahan offense, but the Reid offense also makes things so easy.
Sure
I was
does.
just talking about spacing with Shanahan. Andy Reid is the king of spacing. The way that they space out every single route to maneuver the defense to give those easy throws is so nice. And the thing that makes the Reid offense is it can be quick read or it can be long development. There are always opportunities to throw it down the field, and there's always opportunities for yak. I personally love the Reid offense, and a lot of people try to argue that Patrick Mahomes would have been as good as this wherever he went, and I really do not believe that. I think Andy Reid is, I don't want to say he made the system of Patrick Mahomes. I'm not calling him a system quarterback, but Patrick Mahomes developed so fast because he's in the Reid system. The Reid system, I'm not going to call it easy for quarterbacks, but it is so good for a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes who uses athleticism and has the arm to be able to make these wild throws because of the way they use high-low concepts.
Fair enough. I think Kansas City probably would be my second pick. I mean, I had, before we started the playoff picks last week, I had Kansas City as my AFC team. However, because you've taken them,
Yeah.
I will go ahead and take the Cincinnati Bengals with my second overall.
Wow.
I mean, look,
Early.
I'm not going to take the team in Philly who I'm saying San Francisco is going to beat.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So I'm taking Cincinnati second. Look, I've said it before. I guess I should be done doubting the Cincinnati Bengals in my mind because they win every game that they've been asked to in the playoffs with Burrow so far, minus the Super Bowl, obviously. I just think they have this confidence to them. I know the offensive line is banged up, but again, I think when I look at them, if they play to their max potential, I think they're better than Buffalo, and I think they've already shown that they can beat Kansas City since they have not lost to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid yet. I know that's delusional maybe in some thinking for some people. However, I'm confident in the Bengals with my second overall pick. I think this is a really, really, really good football team that still gets underrated for some reason. I mean, I do get it at times, but they're hot, 9 in a row. Burrow, I know people, he wasn't like a world beater performance, but he did what he had to do. Steps up in big moments. So I'll take Cincinnati second overall.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Philly.
That's fine.
I'm going to take the Eagles. I don't know if I would have taken them over Cincinnati. I kind of thought that you would take the Bengals there, but I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles. If any team can knock off the Niners, I feel like it's Philly. Because Philly is just one of those teams that if they're playing really well, they're almost impossible to beat because of the way that their offense works, of where they use the passing attack. I mean, I guess I should start here. Their RPO system is the best in the league. The way that they use RPOs is just so fun to watch. I mean, the way that they use Jalen Hurts, because their RPOs also involve quarterback reads. So they can run read option off of it also. So it just creates a lot of hectic energy. And one thing about San Francisco that is something to be watched is they've kind of been getting toasted by bad quarterbacks recently.
Yeah, well, it's okay because they have the greatest quarterback in the NFL in their center, so they don't have to worry. They just score more points and they win.
Yeah, so I'm going to take Philly here. I don't know if they can actually do it. I think the rushing attack of the San Francisco 49ers will ultimately do them in the NFC Championship game. But I wouldn't be that surprised if Philly's able to pull it off, especially because it would be in Philly. Playing in Philly is a hard place to go. A.J. Brown is the kind of player that can break open a game in the same way that Jamar Chase can.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to take the Eagles.
All right. Well, now you've taken both of those teams, and the other two teams, the NFC, I kind of view as bozos. So I'll go ahead and, I mean, it's tough. I'll take Buffalo, I guess, if I had to. I mean, look, I think there's a real argument that the difference between Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Buffalo is like very tiny. Like, I think those are your three juggernauts. It's kind of like a clash of titans up there. I could absolutely see Cincinnati beating Buffalo. I mean, it's going to be in Buffalo. They play in the AFC Championship game. It's going to be a neutral site with Kansas City. Josh Allen, when he's on, is just an alien, freak of nature. Dude scares me a little bit, but he's great. I think they have a ton of weapons on the outside with Diggs, Gabe Davis. They got Singletary in the backfield. James Cook has looked great recently. I think they would be my third overall pick. They probably would have been high. Again, I'm just scared that Josh Allen is getting addicted to turning the ball over. I mean, I feel like in some sense, every single time Josh Allen does throw an interception, for some reason, the media is like, it's not his fault. That was not his fault. That did not happen because of Josh Allen. Kind of is his fault. I feel like they kind of do. I feel like there's a lot of people that.
So I was actually going to agree with you. Josh Allen has a weird cult of personality around him. Honestly, it's like the opposite of Herbert. Everyone's always looking for reasons that Herbert sucks. And everyone's always looking for
reasons that Josh Allen's really good.
Yeah, so it's like the opposite, honestly. Because for some reason, Justin Herbert has the media believes that he turns the ball over all the time and is super irresponsible with it, which is just utterly untrue. In Josh Allen, they never talk about the turnovers of any quarterback this year.
I will also say this, but Tony Romo on that game is just going to be insufferable. That is going to be the worst thing ever.
What did he call Josh Allen during the game?
Here comes the greatest call that Tony Romo has ever produced in his broadcasting career is, if I don't know if people saw it, the Bills are coming back onto the field to start the second half. Here comes the big bad bullies. Here come the champs. I think Josh Allen's going to catch fire. First play, he sacked 20-yard strip return touchdown for the Dolphins. I mean, just comical. I don't know. I agree. He gets a pass for some reason. Maybe because all of his throws are so sick when he completes them, but he makes a lot of dumb decisions.
I mean, the thing about Josh Allen is, he's very, very talented. I don't want to take it away. And this is this isn't a slight at Burrow, but it's just an observation. Is Burrow's pocket awareness can be really weird at times. And his default is always to kind of run backwards, which never really makes sense. Josh Allen's default is just to stick the ball out really far and just let him slap it away.
I know.
Then
it was funny, Josh Allen started that fight last week.
Yeah.
I was he's just blocking you nicely. Then you got all mad, and then he was like, "Oh, why is everyone just starts this huge 10-person fight and just walks away?" That wasn't a part of that. Me? I would never do that. I would never start a fight.
To me, Josh Allen is a really weird player because he has this cult of personality where people just so bad want him to be better than Mahomes. And I'm honestly at the point of, man, is he falling to the level of Burrow and Herbert, right around where they are? And
I'll say this. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking this because, again, wins aren't necessarily a quarterback stat. But if he loses to Burrow, maybe he slides to 3.
I think it depends on what kind of game he plays. If he plays the kind of game he played in Kansas City last year, that's the thing of, I don't know. Josh Allen's a weird one. But that was your 4th pick, right?
That was my 3rd. We can just do 3. I feel like 3 is a good number at this stage.
Should I make the NFC East fans mad? I kind of want to pick Jacksonville.
I think you should. I think that's the right choice. I think Jacksonville's better than either of those teams in the NFC.
Yeah, okay, I'll take Jacksonville.
Good.
And this would have been the place, whether it was the Chargers or whether it's Jacksonville, that's where the Chargers would have been sitting anyway. But Jacksonville, Doug Peterson does not get enough credit for the play call, the innovator he is. I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna sound really bold. I think that 4th and 1 play call might be the best play design on a 4th and short I've seen in a long time.
To line up and basically the wishbone
Navy
runs in college, and to go ahead and so gutsy, because me and you are both people that don't like horizontal outside runs when you have to get a yard. That was executed to perfection.
Well, and the other thing is, this is a whole different thing. Of all the people blaming Asante Samuel for not making that tackle in the backfield, how was he supposed to do that?
I don't know.
He's still a corner who has to be in coverage in case if that was play action. I mean, the amount of people that are like, oh, they went right at Asante Samuel. They just went at a cornerback. It didn't matter who was playing out there. There's no way you're making that tackle. Travis Etienne is too fast. He's going to get to the edge. Etienne is the perfect player to run that to. And it's such a gutsy call, but it's so smart because everyone is anticipating the sneak. It's the easy play. And so to run it outside, I usually hate that play call. But to run it from the fullback position, you're not throwing a pitch out there. It's not slow developing. It's still a fast moving play. So I love the play design.
Here's the thing too. If Doug Peterson successfully brings a championship to Philly and Jacksonville, two of just the grimiest cities in the world, these like free, whatever boat rides in Daytona Beach during springtime whenever he wants them. That's what he's gonna get, man.
The other thing that people keep bringing up is like, Doug Peterson, if he did win the Super Bowl for Jacksonville, he'd be the first coach to win a Super Bowl on 2 different teams.
Good for him. I hope he does it.
I hope he does too.
I think, look, Doug and that saucy little freaking visor he wears, even though it's goddamn 30 degrees out in Jacksonville, not an ounce of sunshine in sight, still repping it. Got to give respect to the guy, man. Doug's an innovator. I mean, you see how bad Carson Wentz is. Carson Wentz couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a football right now in Washington. So I think Doug's goated, man. Fear the visor.
Good. He's good. Who would you take over between the Giants and Cowboys?
I mean, you got to take the Cowboys. I mean, they were better than the Giants this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat them handily, if I recall, on both accounts. Yeah. Maybe not handily. The first time they had Cooper Rush. God, do you remember that? Cooper Rush. People Dak has not played well this year, but there was a real time and place when real people sat there and said, you know what? Maybe this team's better than Cooper Rush.
People are dumb.
That was like, you know what? Just one of those just galaxy brain thoughts. Just people very stupid.
Dumb. People are
very dumb.
I don't know what. See, this is why fans don't run organizations. And first of all, they're super impulsive.
Wouldn't it be more fun though? If people just made trades like it was Madden.
It would be such trash. I'd be watching such a bad product.
Yeah, but it would be hilarious. Like maybe they should do that for 1 year. Proposal time, NFL. Keep your ears open. This could save you if something bad goes down. For 1 year, instead of the owners and the GM getting to run the team, they do a lottery. Each team, fans submit their names. If your name falls out of the lottery, you get to pick. You're the owner, and you get to pick. It has to be your high school best friend. It can't be your current best friend. It has to be your high school best friend. Doesn't matter if you talk for 10 years, because that was probably one of your most moronic friends, and maybe that's why you left in the past. But you two get to run that franchise for 1 season. Do whatever you want with it. That's what they should do.
I have a better idea.
Please.
What if they, like Madden, when you start a franchise, what if they just did an entire fantasy draft? And when you got to your pick, it was the team subreddit who got it via
subreddit. That would be great. Oh my God. You would have disasters of people showing. Could you imagine? Actually, you know what? I'm not saying the NFL should listen, but I'm saying keep those ears perked. That would be a great idea.
That honestly might be like a fun idea for us to do over the off season to get some other podcasts, and then we all just run a team and see how our off season would go. That would be kind of fun. It would
go really bad.
It'd be fun to see if we managed a team. I mean, I don't even know what I do. I do something. What would be
your
really
first
stupid.
move? You're the GM. If you're the owner, for 1 season. The only thing you can't do, unfortunately, is relocate. You cannot relocate.
I mean, I would love to relocate.
We can't do that. That's the one stipulation. You cannot relocate the team.
I would love to do that. What's another thing I would like to do? My first move. I mean, if I were actually the GM, my first move would probably be to re-sign Drew Tranquill as the Chargers.
Okay. But, God, how boring.
I know. I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably dream up a package for Justin Jefferson and been like, oh, I'll trade my next 3 first-round picks to go get Justin Jefferson. I don't know.
That would be good.
There'd be some GM, I swear, there'd be like, oh, I'll just trade Justin Herbert and get all of this draft capital for 5 first-round picks.
I mean, there would be people who would do that. I think that would be, a good option. I think I don't know what I would do if I was the owner. If I just had one move. You know what I would do? I would have one player who I'd really like on the team, and I would have security walk around the field. If you said anything bad about that player during the game, that one of those security people caught you. So essentially, if I've just enlisted the KGB to work at my games, you will be arrested for the rest of the game, and you cannot come back for that season. If I hear you say one bad thing about one of the players that I specifically like, it doesn't matter if it's the long snapper, you go to jail for the rest of the game, and you can't come back the rest of the season. That's my rule.
Oh,
You would get
man.
jail.
That
And it would be like specifically like Disney jail. I've never heard what Disney jail is actually like. I've only ever heard the rumors of Disney jail, but I would get the people who run Disney jail to be in charge of my jail.
Oh,
That's what would
Disney jail.
happen. That would be my first stipulation.
I mean, that would be quite the move.
People would be really uptight about what I mean. And I wouldn't tell anyone who the player I like is, though. I would never say who it is as the owner. That would not be. You would just have to be like, oh no, should I say something shitty about this guy? You would never know until
It'd
the
be
Disney
Brock
jail
Purdy.
boys show up and you're done.
I guess that's fair.
That's
I
just
mean-
that would be my one rule.
I gotta think of like another like move. If I were the owner, what I'd do.
Oh, also we would replace. There would be no more soft serve in the stadiums. It would be frozen yogurt.
Wow, why frozen yogurt?
Because frozen yogurt's better.
You like frozen yogurt more than soft serve?
I've come around to it. I think honestly, frozen yogurt, yes, I would rule is better than ice cream at this point. You can have
No
more
way.
options, and plus, I like sometimes after I eat ice cream, I'm like, man, I am just a piece of shit right now. Like,
I just think you're lactose intolerant.
I'm not. I
I-
drink upwards of 4 gallons of milk a week.
I think that's why. I think you just gaslit yourself so much.
I'm not.
that
No,
you're-
frozen yogurt is superior. First off, you can put way more toppings on frozen yogurt. Second off, like ice cream. I eat it. I'm like, sweet. I just injected my arteries with 1 less year of life with ice cream. Sometimes
What? Ice cream is good.
ice cream's fine, but I'm just saying I would have frozen yogurt as the option over ice cream.
Yeah, I guess I get that. You know what I would do?
Make all the urinals troughs like at Oakland.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I would get better entertainment in between like the quarter breaks and the halftime break.
Mm.
Sometimes at games they're just boring. Like when it's just like, here's some guy we're celebrating. No, like let's get some dude bungee jumping in here. Oh, I didn't tell you at the Jacksonville game. I didn't know they did this. Do you know to start the game that Jaguar like mascot?
Oh, he like
thing-
comes flying in like on the freaking.
Yeah, he like
comes,
bungee
zooming
jumps
in.
off the top of the stadium.
Yeah, he comes just booming in there real quick, man. That'd be.
I also asked the Jacksonville fan about why the one week he was in a bikini or in the Speedo thing. I guess it was because the whole suit got wet and he didn't want to be in the damp suit, so he just body painted himself that.
Nice. You know what my halftime or like in between quarter entertainment would be?
What's that?
I would just hire whoever was like the second or third place person on The Voice every year. So you'd be like, well,
yeah.
this person sounds good, but who is this? It would just be the runner-up from The Voice, like the last 12 seasons. I've never watched The Voice, but that would be my selection.
Just the voice.
Just like the person who finished second or third in The Voice, which again, no one will know because no one watches The Voice, but that would be my halftime entertainment.
Okay, this could be our last point because you just said something about the voice.
Nice.
Anytime, and this is only a thing in the NFL because I don't watch cable TV anymore. The shows that are as commercials are like the same thing over and over again, just told in a different way. Like, I swear, I've seen so many ads year after year for some show about celebrities guessing songs that are just played over the intercom.
No, it's
and they
like
just come up with a new one every year.
No, it's like that, and they have the game shows, but like the one that kills me, I have no idea how it's still going, is that NBC has every sort of medical, military, police outlet covered in Chicago. Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. Like, it can't be that exciting. I mean, maybe it is, but I'm not going to, like, is there continuity between the three shows? Like, do the characters know one another exist within their universes?
The other one is, who made a young rock show? I think the first I was watching CBS.
I refuse. I think The Rock's great. I really do. Like The Rock now, like when he was in like, WWE, awesome. I refuse to believe that there's a market large enough for people to be like, gather the kids, honey. It's the young Rock here on Tuesday, 7-8 Central on NBC. We have to watch. How could anyone be like, oh my God, it's my favorite show. This is so sweet. That's so absurd.
Man, I know The Rock is Black Adam now, but what was he like as a kid?
Yeah, like, oh my God, like, wait, you're telling me The Rock, like, oh, he played football at Miami? I didn't know that. Like,
Oh,
it was only detailed like his entire life. Like, the dude's been in everything since he was the age of like 18. I'm like, I don't need to watch it. I refuse to believe that there's a large enough group of people that they're like, you know what? Season 2 is incoming.
of Young Rock.
Yeah, it's like anyone who like Young Sheldon. I don't know how long Young Sheldon has been on television, but that kid, and he's a good actor, but that show needs to be just launched to the sun. That is the worst. Like, first off, that Big Bang Theory annoyed. This is so off of sports. I hated Big Bang Theory. And the fact they took its most annoying character and made him small, I'm like, who is possibly like, oh, Young Sheldon tonight? Let's freaking go. Screw date night, babe. We're watching Young Sheldon.
You gotta love Young Sheldon, though.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
And then, wait, one last thing. Oh my God. And then Burger King coming out with that BK song commercial.
That's actually Burger King's a genius for that. Burger King, I have heard that song so many times. Like, I just know like Whopper or whatever. But like that, the Burger King execs are like, all right, whoever the idiot was that came up with that commercial, immediate raise.
Well,
like,
the worst timing of it was when Damar Hamlin, when that whole situation that they cut the commercial break on ESPN, and you just hear the BK.
Hey, have it your way. Like, dude, oh God. Like, they did that last night. Like, it's not funny. But like Russell Gage is laying on the ground, potentially paralyzed, and they cut, and it's BK. Have it your way. I'm like, someone read the room and play something different, please. There's no way the BK Whopper song is on right now. I'm praying it's become such a cult thing that they play it in the Super Bowl just to play homage to how great it has like served this season.
Well, it can only happen after some like big injury. The only time it can happen is during an injury time.
Like a catastrophe, like some official, an official's down on the field because he's been hit, and everyone's like, oh, like we hope he's okay, and then it just has to cut to
BK.
Have it. Like, that's the thing too. Like, also, I just wonder too, again, maybe just because who the hell is going and ordering a goddamn Whopper and is like, you know what? Double this up. I need 2 Whoppers real quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get ready for whoever it is.
All right. Well, this has been From the Backseat. I hope you enjoyed it. We will catch you next week for the AFC divisional round, where we will break down. Hopefully, the Bengals win.
Hopefully.
So make sure to follow us on TikTok. Make sure to follow us on all the platforms, Instagram, Twitter. Clark just put out a fire tweet earlier today where he's feeling the ramifications of being viewed by 200,000 people. So congratulations.
Yeah, people really latched onto that one, folks.
Yeah. And make sure to subscribe on YouTube if you're watching us here. Maybe leave us a like. This has been our show. Make sure to go rate on all the platforms. Leave us 5-star review. Thank you very much, everyone.
Have a good night.